So we have Josh Alexander from Impact Wrestling here in the house. Josh, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. Happy to be here.
That's great. That's great. So how are you and the family holding up with the COVID and everything?
As well as anybody could. It's a little different in America than it is in Canada. It's far more strict in Canada still.
Right.
Uh, we're lagging behind in the vaccine distribution and all this other stuff. So we're still cooped up tight. So just keeping my kids occupied is the biggest problem right now. But
Oh yeah. I know that issue. I have two small kids at home and trying to keep them together because they do remote learning at home. So
yeah,
they're at home, they're in the house half the time. And then when they finally get to go out, they just like they don't want to come back in.
yeah. When like my kids were so used to going to like trampoline parks or like
Hmm.
even parks outside and stuff. And in wintertime, everybody's been cooped up for like 4 or 5 months. So like people are just ready to get out.
Oh yeah. I
Uh,
mean, yeah, and like here now, they're starting to open up things here. I'm in New York, so they're opening up a lot more. So like now that they see that or they hear it because they, we turn on the news all the time. They're like, oh, well, this is open. Let's go. And it's like, oh, you still got to be cautious with a
yeah.
lot of stuff that's going on.
Yeah, well, hopefully, sooner than later we can get back to normal. I think everybody's just itching for some semblance of normalcy after a year of this, but
Oh yeah,
you got to be cautious, as you said. So,
yeah, definitely. So what made you fall in love with wrestling?
well, there's like a two-part answer to that, I guess. At first, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14, and like Sting, like the Crow Sting, because that was happening simultaneously, and that's when I discovered wrestling. So I thought that stuff was cool, and like the Wolfpack was the coolest thing of all time, yada yada. But like I fell out of it in high school. I started like concentrating on basketball more and just like whatever was going on in high school.
Man, yeah, I think we all
And
did that.
yeah, when I graduated high school, I discovered that like TNA and Ring of Honor and through them indie wrestling was a thing.
Mhm.
So like that's what made me fall in love with the idea of being able to be a professional wrestler. Because before that, I only ever saw guys like Batista on my TV, and I was like, oh, I'm never gonna look like that, so I can't do that. But like when I saw TNA and Ring of Honor and stuff, and you see guys like Samoa Joe and Low Key and like the different body types that can still go, it definitely made me fall in love with the idea of being a wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Attitude Era for me was something that I fell in love with. I was a big Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, and like seeing like The Rock and DX, and then like just like you, I fell out of wrestling, and then when I got back into it, that's when I started finding out all the like indie promotions like ROH and like like GCW and stuff like that, and I just started to like grow more into liking wrestling again.
Yeah. The
Um,
beauty of the thing about the indies is that there's something for everybody. You can always find something. There's so much, right?
yeah, it definitely because there's so many different promotions out there. It's just like you never know. Like some of them are hit or miss, and then some of them are like they generally have like really good stars that like down the line you'll end up seeing them, and then you're like, oh, like I remember this guy from like this promotion, or like didn't I just see this guy at this club performing not too long ago, and then all of a sudden like now you see them on TV, and what helps now is just the whole internet now because
Yeah.
you can watch a lot of these shows online now.
Yeah. Yeah. And all the streaming services from High Spots and IWTV and all this other
Mhm.
stuff, like it just made the world smaller so everybody can find everything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's pretty much like a good thing because I know back in the day you had to like go from like town to town to town, and a lot of fans didn't know exactly like who was doing what. It's just like if you're in New York, then you know what's going on in New York. If you're in California, you know what's going on in California. You had to read about it later on.
Well, even in like '05 when I broke in, that's when like I discovered that indie wrestling existed. Like we were trading CDs, burnt CDs
Hmm.
and stuff. And like I remember Wrestle Torrents was a thing because like some people like you wouldn't be able to find anything, but then you could find like an entire library of some indies and like IW Mid South and all this other stuff.
So when you broke into the business, right, and you decided you wanted to be like this is what you wanted to do as your career, like how did everyone take it, like as far as like family wise? Like when did you know, like, okay, this is what I want to do for a living?
Uh, well, I mean, it's kind of weird, but like from 18 on, I was pretty much on my own. My family kind of like fell apart when I turned 18.
Hmm.
So, like my grandmother would be like the only person that ever, she was worried about my physical safety because she thought this was like that guy on TV. I saw a commercial of him hitting the other guy in the head with a sledgehammer. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's wrestling to her. She just sees it in like those snippets. So like she was the only one concerned about that. Like I didn't have, for better or for worse, like it's not like a sad thing. I just never had anybody in my life that really gave a shit about what I was going to do with my life. It was kind of like as long as I have a roof over my head or whatever, it was fine. Like I was never like pushed to excel. So I had to find that on my own. And like wrestling did that for me, thankfully.
Right. But I mean, at least you had grandma. She was there to like, at least have that safety net and be like, no, but you're gonna get hurt. Sounds like my grandmother. My grandma's the same way.
I have the sweetest, like prototypical 4'11", short old grandmother that has never said a swear word in her life. All this other stuff. Like she's just the sweetest old lady. So like she just worries about everybody. That's her gimmick. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So then she tells you, to be careful, and then
Mhm.
you get into wrestling, and then you hurt yourself. You break
Yeah.
your neck.
I don't think she ever understood that I broke my neck or ever communicated how serious it was.
Right.
To this day, I
Wait,
still.
did you know like how serious it was like when you broke your neck the first time?
Mm, yes and no. For the first few weeks, I thought I hurt my shoulder or
Hmm.
something because it was like a lot of shoulder pain going down to my
Right.
fingertips, and I thought there was just like an impingement, a muscle issue that was causing my fingertips to be like tingling and burning and stuff. I couldn't figure it out, and then finally, in Canada, the healthcare system's crazy. It's free, but I had to wait like 8 weeks to get an MRI. And then finally I got an MRI to see that I broke my neck. And that's when, I mean, obviously it was more serious. I knew at that point, just from like how much pain I was in on a day-to-day basis, that it was something. I just never imagined it was a broken neck because I was still walking around. Like you think broken neck, you think like horror stories like Christopher Reeve or something like that,
Right.
where you're just like stuck in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. I didn't realize that I could break my neck and still be able to go to the gym,
Hmm.
just be in extreme amounts of pain. But yeah, it sunk in then, obviously.
Wow. Did that ever stop you from like thinking that you'll come back? Because I know you broke your neck twice. So did that ever stop you from like saying like, will I ever be able to wrestle again?
Well, I broke my neck once. This is like a common, like everybody thinks I broke it twice. I've had two neck surgeries.
Okay.
The second neck surgery, they thought I had broken my neck a second time at a different level, but really I just never let it heal the first time. So they had to go in and clean it up and then let it heal. And I had to take 9 months off. That's when I retired because I thought I had to like quit. That's what doctors were telling me at the time. But after surgery, they had changed their tune because it wasn't as serious. Thankfully, I got blessed there. So I got a second chance.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it was that second one when I thought it was all over. And I was lucky to wake up from surgery and get the good news. But then it was just all about uh, if I am going to come back, I'm going to come back better than I was before. And if I have to be better than I was before, I can't be thinking about this broken neck. So like I've done a lot of hard work rehabbing, and to this day, every single day I have the same routine where like I make sure my neck is the last thing I'm gonna ever have to worry about. Everything else on me will break before my neck now.
Yeah, I remember talking to Tommaso Ciampa from NXT, and he was saying the same thing where, like, yeah, it was in the back of his mind when the whole neck injury happened, like just like coming back and doing the rehab, but like that was like that was like the first thing, and then once he started doing the rehab, he kind of just made sure that like that would be like the last thing on his mind because he didn't want his like his in ring to change because then that would pretty much like like hold him back from there.
Yeah, when I first came back, I was a little hesitant with certain things, and you could tell I was just trying to protect myself way too much, and I would
Hmm.
end up like hurting something else in my body. Like I would hurt my shoulder trying to protect my neck and overcompensate, and it was just like it took me like 2 3 months to be finally like, you know what, my neck is fine. I need to just wrestle like I did before. I need to completely put this out of my head because it's causing me other injuries and issues now. So I just like went full bore, and I'm a little bit of a maniac. I have a reputation, so it wasn't hard for me to just tell myself, just ignore your neck and just keep going like normal. And it's paid off because I don't think if you compared before I broke my neck,
Hmm.
before both surgeries, to now, you would notice any difference in what I do.
Right. So I became a fan of yours. Um, it wasn't by watching a match. It was actually sitting there. There was a documentary on you that
Mhm.
Impact had put out, and that was like the first time I got to know who Josh Alexander was, right? Because I had originally um, seen Ethan Page, and but then I seen a lot of his blogs, and it was like before you guys became the North, and I guess you guys had like taken like a break at that time, and then all of a sudden they said like videos you can watch now, and then it was like Josh Alexander documentary. So I watched that, and then just seeing your whole journey, I was just like, wow, like this guy's amazing. I was like, I need to know more. So then I started following like all your matches, and then I started following like the North, and then I just became like a huge fan from there. So like now with you and Ethan going separate ways, him being AEW, and then you're still being in Impact, do you feel like you need to have like a fresh start now because you're like killing it in the X
Exhibition.
division? Yeah.
Like the fresh start thing, no, not so much. Like the beautiful thing about Ethan Page and me as a tag team as the North, a lot of a lot of fans have only seen the North from like their knowledge of me as a professional wrestler. It's just what I've done this first 2 years at Impact. Luckily for me, I was wrestling for 14 years before that. Me and Ethan had been a tag team. We've been Monster Mafia. We had shots at Ring of Honor, Evolve, PWG, like you name it. We were a pretty successful tag team on the indies before we ever got to Impact and then changed the name to the North. But we were also both very accomplished singles wrestlers across North America at major promotions all over the place. So now at this juncture where he goes AEW, the North is no more, and I'm here in Impact Wrestling, and I have to step out of that comfort zone because for the first 2 years here in Impact, man, like it's been nothing but success as a tag team. So now I have a new challenge, and I love challenges. I'm a competitive guy, so I've set my sights on being X Division champion first, and then of course I'm going to go for that Impact World Championship afterwards. But I'm very comfortable being a singles wrestler, and I think that all those fans that liked me as a tag team specialist as in the North, they're going to be pleasantly surprised very quickly by what I'm able to do as a single star. So it's just a new challenge, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of your like your singles matches, and that's how I was like, okay, this guy can really go, in the ring, and then seeing your like your tag team matches with Ethan, I was just like, okay, this is a pretty good tag team. But like another question I did have for you was, so you guys are in the North in Impact, and then Monster Mafia like outside of Impact. Why did the name change?
When we got to Impact, there it had been maybe like 3-4 years since we'd had a tag match together. Might have had like one or two in Canada at like the random promotion, but Monster Mafia is just something that I think we both outgrew.
Mhm.
It was a sweet name. It was like we had some really cool T-shirt designs and stuff out of it. People seem to react well to it, but like any major company we come in contact with along the way just never liked our tag name. And I don't know if it's like the mafia portion, like people just automatically think like we have to be Italian. Like we use the mafia portion of Monster Mafia, like we're two monsters and we're family. Like that was the kind of like way we put it together with Monster Mafia. And it just didn't resonate with like a global audience. So they challenged us. They said, hey, we want a fresh start here in Impact with you guys, a different name. It's a chance to rebrand yourselves. And it just I'm a big Raptors fan, and their whole slogan is "We are the North." And I just thought, what about the North? And I pitched it, and everybody loved it, and it ended up working out. Simple, and it gets the point across that we are two exceptional Canadian wrestlers, but we're not Team Canada. We don't want you guys to get that confused. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
because when I heard the tag team name, that's the first thing that like clicked into my mind. It wasn't like Team Canada, but it was like, okay, these two guys are from Canada. It makes sense because of the whole Raptors thing. That's where I came up with it. Like my idea was, I was just like, okay, they probably got that from the Raptors, and they just stuck with it, and they're just going from there. Um, so like now Ethan is in AEW. Have you guys spoken, since his debut?
I mean, kind of, maybe, no. A little bit. Like
Right,
I'm watching as a fan.
right.
Like I had said before, like I don't want to know anything.
Hmm.
I don't want anything to be spoiled. I don't want to be, I would rather just watch it as a fan and be pleasantly surprised at all the successes that come his way, because I think he's one of the most talented people in all of professional wrestling. And whether or not people know that now,
Hmm.
he's gonna show them real quick with every opportunity he gets there. So
Yeah, that's the same thing I spoke to him about, because I speak to him like often, like a couple of times, like here and there on online. And when he made his debut, I sent him a quick message. It's like, hey, congratulations. And he was like, thank you, whatever. And I remember when he said he was leaving like Impact, I was just like, please don't let them change your name. Like, don't go into another promotion and all of a sudden you walk out with the same like smile, and then it was like, oh, everybody's gonna think, oh, it's Ethan Page, and all of a sudden they'd be like Jack something, you know.
yeah,
And like the only thing, because he was just like very secretive to things, and I was like, I understand. He was just like, don't worry, like I'm gonna keep my name. That's the only thing I could tell you right now. I was like, all right, great. And so then when he came out and in AEW, I was very happy for him.
yeah, same. Like I had a little gut feeling in the afternoon leading up to that pay-per-view. I was like, maybe he's the guy in the ladder match, like that would be a
Hmm.
great debut. So like,
Right.
I tuned in. I had sent him a text message that day being like, I don't want to know, but if tonight's what I think it is, I'm just going to say good luck. Not that you need any luck, because, you're super talented. That was it. I left it at that. And I watched and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. So you know how they have their like match of the year. Do you feel that you and TJP, your X Division match, is that going to be like a match of the year?
I see it. Okay. I'm a big fan of wrestling. I watch it every year, and I know what matches are regarded as the best matches of the year and all this stuff. Other than anything that happens at Wrestle Kingdom at the start of January, I have a real hard time because I think there's a recency bias in a lot of this stuff. I think anything that happens in the first half of the year, at least, usually gets forgotten about by the time these awards roll around at the end of the year. You know what I mean? Like nobody's thinking about what they saw last February when awards roll around in December. So like the freshest thing in their mind is that sweet match that happened in October, or more recent. So I think if it can stand up and still be mentioned at the end of the year, that's just enough to solidify it as one of the best matches of the year, because I know it went amazing. I was like pleasantly surprised by how well received it was. Like when we did it, I was just like that was really good, but I don't know how fans are going to react. I can tell you that if we do wrestle again, it's going to be way better. Like every single time. So if we end up getting to wrestle again in the coming months, or if they want to roll it back and have, another match and then maybe a rubber match and all this other stuff, they want to do a best of seven series. I think it's only going to get better as it goes along. So if we can do better, then maybe that one's the match of the year and not that one. But I was just like, for me, match quality and all this other stuff is what I've kind of hung my hat on and made my career of throughout my entire career. So now stepping off singles right now and having an established match like that happen so quick is just everything I'd want.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a best of seven match with you guys, because I think the way you guys move in the ring together, it works. So to see that match, and when I was sitting down watching it, I was just like telling a friend of mine, I was texting him, I was like, you have to watch this match over, because like they're really like going. It's not like a lot of flipping. It's just more technical than anything else. And it's just that's one of the things that I like. I like more technical wrestling than like say like high flying and like jumping around and stuff like that. So like to see you guys do this type of match was like amazing.
I think it's just like a sweet contrast too for what you usually see at the X Division.
Hmm.
So there's a different type of technical wrestling that can still be done in a manner that has no limits, and that was like a perfect example of that. That was our goal going into it. So
Do you have any upcoming projects that you want to plug right now?
I mean, just keep following me along for this Impact journey, my hunt for the X Division Championship. Whether or not I'm able to, do that this year and achieve my goals, just come along for the ride, because I'm gonna bust my ass and make sure it happens.
That's great. Hopefully we'll see you with the X Division title very soon.
I mean, fingers crossed.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on, and you have a good day.